I don't want to see you go to hell. Can you just hear me out? Whoa, dude, that's crazy to say to someone. That's not okay at all. I will absolutely not hear you out. If something as simple as that energy is not matching, what the hell do you think is going to be the case when one person is super religious and the other person isn't religious? You know, the one thing that has always had wars and battles and fights since the beginning of time? Religion. I came across this Reddit story. I was just like, ooh, this is another good one. And I wanted to share it on the show. So I'm going to read it to you and then I'm going to talk about it. Let's go. I'm a 30-year-old female. I started talking to this guy, a 33-year-old male from a dating site. We started talking yesterday, June 12th. We talked on the site for a little bit and then started texting. I thought he was pretty cool and our conversations were natural and comfortable. He then started being a little pushy about wanting to hurry up and get into a relationship, talked about kissing and sex. Obviously, red flags, but I told him we have to get to know each other first, and that topic is off limits until we get to that point. He backed off and things went back to normal ish, I guess, since it was literally been less than a day. Anyway, today we were just talking about random stuff, asking each other questions as one does. He then asked me if I'm religious. Totally an okay question, and I told him I wasn't. The text the text that I'm going to read in a little bit is how it went. So many people in my family and my friends say not to let that kind of stuff ruin relationships. After the last text, I told him to watch a religious deconstruction video so he could learn why I'm not religious. Now he's saying, well, maybe I'm not religious either, and let me make it up to you. Am I overreacting or should I just block this guy? So that's her initial intro of what's going on. And so now I'm going to read the text that they were going back and forth with. So this is the guy. I'm starting off with the guy, and then I'm going to follow up with what the girl said. So, woman said, excuse me. Do you go to church? I'll definitely Oh, do you go to church? I'll definitely think about it and no, not religious. Well, could you go with me? That's something I'd really have to think about. Well, can I ask if you believe? I'm not religious. Well, can you think about becoming religious? I've been through religious stuff my entire life and no, I can't. Why? I like you and that's important to me. Oh, sorry, I'm not okay with becoming religious for someone. Well, can you just think about it? No, and I don't appreciate you trying to force me. Why are you being so difficult? I'm not, LOL. I'm allowed to not be religious just like you are allowed to be religious. I'll work on you. Okay. I guess I'd be happy if we could just go to church together on occasion. Hmm. I'm uncomfortable with you trying to make me religious and saying you still are going to try. I'm not sure if I can keep talking to you if that's how you're going to be. Well, I don't want to see you go to hell. Can you just hear me out? Whoa, dude, that's crazy to say to someone. That's not okay at all. I will absolutely not hear you out. You can either keep your beliefs to yourself or not talk to me. I'm very serious. She wants to know if she is overreacting in those texts. Once again, she says that her family says, you can't ruin relationships over stuff like this. Once again, this has all been in one day. This is the first day. So in the first day, he's brought up sex, kissing and sex. And in the same day, he's bringing up, well, will you go to church with me? Well, I don't want you to go to hell. And she's asking us if she's overreacting, if she should block the guy. Ma'am, I cannot stress this enough. I feel like this is a common thing that I talk about when it comes to dating and relationships. Energies need to match. I went out on a date with a woman probably about a year ago, and chemistry was there. Dope person to talk to, uh, attractive, Physical chemistry was there as well. I mean, we didn't that, but we kissed, and it was magnetic. There was a pull to each other, both intellectually and physically, right? There was a pull. I had to take a step back and say, okay, let me look at the situation. Do our energies match? And in a lot of ways, they did match. Like I said, intellectually and physically, energies absolutely matched. But when I stopped looking at it from a micro and started looking at it from a macro level, looking at it as a bigger picture, I realized that our vibes, our energy weren't aligned. And which vibes and energy am I talking about? So I absolutely believe that we could have gone on more dates, ended up dating, ended up in a relationship. And how long could that a relationship gone? Could have gone for a long time. Could have gone for a long time. I could have actually been in a long-term relationship with this woman. However, our views of what we see for the future don't align. This particular person very much looked at money as the be all end all goal. And I'm not knocking anybody who want to get their paper up. Who don't want to get their paper up? Everybody should want to get their paper up. Having your paper up is fun. Having your paper up alleviates some stresses in your life, right? That's what money does. When people say money can't buy you happiness, it can't buy you happiness. It can buy you a relief on certain stressors. That's not happiness, though. That's just relieving certain stressors. So the actual money doesn't give you happiness. It gives you relief, but relief is not happiness. Okay. I learned this a very, very long time ago. I used to, and I've just recently stopped. And when I say just recently stopped, like within the last 3 years, I just recently stopped doing impulse buys because I would get fixated on certain things. Prime example, I recently, the beginning of this year, I was like, I want a new couch. My couch is perfectly fine right now, but I was fixated on, I wanted a new couch. I wanted a new couch. I wanted a new couch. I had to stop myself and say, why would I spend the money on a new couch when I have a perfectly good couch? There's no justifiable reason for wanting to get a new couch. The reason why I want to get a new couch is because I think it would look nicer and it would make me happier. And it would look nice. It would make me happier for a short period of time because then there would be something else that I needed to do to make myself happy. We talked about the happiness level. Everybody has a default happiness level. No matter what happens in your life, good or bad, you will revert back to that default happiness level. So no matter what you give yourself or get yourself, you're going to go back to that default. And I realized, I said, I'm not going to get that couch. I would rather use that money to my trip for New Orleans or going out to see my cousin in Vegas that I've been talking about going to see, or going out to LA to visit some friends, right? There's other ways that I could use that money that would be more meaningful, that would genuinely give me happiness and long-term memories, right? I'm finally just at almost 45, finally getting to that point. Money isn't a big deal to me, not because I have a lot of it, but because I know it will relieve stress, right? Because, I'm not worried about bills. So money is definitely dope. And I do try to get my money up. That's not my focus though. My focus on is creating memories that I know those memories will make me happy temporarily. And then when I look back on them, can bring me continuous happiness, right? That's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on those moments. Money is not my driving force. Money was her driving force. My driving force is happiness, memories, moments. Hers was money. Not saying that she doesn't like having moments and memories, but they were just different. And at a certain point, those two diverging arrows were going to cross and it was going to be a conflict. And I'm not compromising on what my goal is as far as achieving happiness and moments. My goals will never be to focus on getting that money. So I knew in the long run that was going to be a point of contention. Okay. I said all of that to say this. If something as simple as that energy is not matching, what the hell do you think is going to be the case when one person is super religious and the other person isn't religious? Which, by the way, this young man, I could call him that because he's 33 years old, is not religious. Because if he was religious and he was so fixated on not going to hell and he was a man of God, he wouldn't be talking about kissing and sex on the first day of meeting this person on a dating site. He's one of those hypocritical Christians or hypocritical religious people. I don't know if he's a Christian. I just said religious. He's one of those hypocritical religious people. So there's conflict in that in and of itself. But when one person is religious and the other person is not, and one is trying to push their ideals onto the other, there's going to be conflict. You know, the one thing that has always had wars and battles and fights since the beginning of time? Religion. Religion. People in the same religion, what I mean in Christianity has so many different umbrellas, look down upon each other. I had somebody the other day tell me a story. They are a Southern Baptist, and they were looking down upon Catholics because they said Catholics don't read the Bible. I said, where are you getting that from? I was like, where are you getting that from? Well, just back in the day, a lot of people couldn't read. I said, how does that apply to now where they're just told what to believe? I was like, you're told what to believe. Well, I read the Bible. Who says that you understand what you're reading? What sense does that make? This is a Christian talking about another Christian. And it's in every faith. In every faith, there are different denominations and they don't always get along. There is conflict. Even if you believe in the same God, there's conflict. If you are religious and the other person is not religious and one is trying to force the other to believe what they believe, yeah, no, you need to move on. And on top of that, this is still just the first day. I can't stress that enough. They just matched June 12th. And right now, it is June 14th. Okay. They just matched June 12th, and you're already putting something in the am I overreacting Reddit? Yes. No, you're not overreacting.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.